Good morning. Welcome, everybody. My name is Dennis Falloon, and you may have heard this before, but if you've attended prior ones. But for those that are new, I'm the District 7 Safety Academy coordinator. I'm a consultant. I work for District 7 Safety Office, and I'd like to welcome you to the 7th District 7 Safety Academy webinar. Is your project feasible? What's next? And how do we move forward? This will be presented by Larry Taylor, consultant in the District 7 Safety Office, and during the presentation and the Q&A, Dave Skalunas, who's the PE District 7 Safety Programs Manager, may be adding in his particular comment. Please note that there's only one remaining topic for this year, which will be next Wednesday. So we're going to accommodate the holiday, and it won't start again until the 8th of January. I'm going to kind of give you a little more of an introduction to the Academy. As I've stated before, this Academy was established to provide information for the local agencies to enhance their local safety programs. So we're sharing safety-related issues to enhance those programs. Without reading everything, it began on October 23rd. There are 2-hour lengths of presentation. They're on Wednesdays. We try to run at least a minimum of an hour. We do allow for Q&A, and the length of a topic will depend on the complexity of the issue being presented. This is the web link to go to SurveyMonkey to register for any of the further topics that you may not have registered for. You can also go through the District 7 Safety Summit.org website and register. And then all the completed sessions, the PDF file and the recorded session, are at this link on completed session. Like I mentioned earlier, today is your project feasible? What's next, and how do we move forward? And you'll notice on the calendar there, December 18th is going to be discussing the benefit cost calculations plus the NPV calculations. And that'll be on next Wednesday. Okay, with that, just briefly, here's my contact information. It's on emails and type stuff, so if you need that, you can get it. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Larry Taylor, and let him move forward with their presentation. Larry?
Yes, I'm here trying to get control of the PowerPoint.
Go down to the bottom. It says 1/17.
Oh, there we go. Yep. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 6th round of the Safety Academy sponsored by District 7. Today's presentation is on your project feasible and what's next. I'd like to start out by going through rehashing some of what Dave Skalunas covered last week, and basically with regards to the Safety Fund HSIP requirements. There are many considerations that factor into the determination of whether or not a proposed safety improvement meets the HSIP requirements. These requirements were delivered by David, and who did an excellent job a week ago. And he basically touched on the funding categories, requirements, and conditions. And I will not attempt to rehash that entire presentation, but instead I hope to build upon what David presented last week. I would imagine that you all are familiar with the HSIP requirements and the safety emphasis areas, but your safety project can be derailed or delayed by incomplete, inconsistent, or inaccurate applications that we receive. In fact, the success of your safety project is determined by the quality of your application and the level of coordination provided in response to the inquiries that we, the District 7 Safety Team, present to you. The safety application process has been enhanced to require information and documentation necessary to the success of our vetting process. We even offer an online process now, which is a big improvement over what we had previously. While it's still under construction, it is a marked improvement over the past. The most important element of the vetting process is the submission of that complete application, as I mentioned. A thorough review is necessary by our safety team and is complete with the engineering analysis and field review for feasibility, not just the windshield assessment that we conduct. The safety application indicates the expected level of response from the local agencies who are submitting. The project application should be reviewed for much more than just the benefit-cost ratio and other typical safety program requirements. The application should address all of the elements contained and discussed herein. As you know, some candidate projects will come to us for review with plans and others will not. They'll only have a project concept. But if our review determines that information is missing from the application, we will immediately notify the local agency of the omission and request the necessary information if the application is to receive further consideration. Our prompt notification will help you, the local agency, provide missing information and correct or resubmit your application for future consideration. Now, the District 7 feasibility review process. We all know that sometimes errors and oversights are going to occur, but the correction of those are crucial to our process. The current state of the project must be provided, and we need to know if design, if underway or complete, meets the Florida Green Book standards, which is the minimum standard for off-system projects. If the project is on the state highway system, of course, the State Plans Prep Manual must be utilized. Now, we need answers to simple questions with regards to right-of-way, but they will often trip up the local agency. We need answers to basically very simple questions, particularly, is right-of-way acquisition required? It's important, and it should not be viewed as the kiss of death, because it will not necessarily kill your project. Of course, safety funds cannot be used to pay for right-of-way acquisition, but we need to know if right-of-way is actually needed for the project. Unfortunately, most of the applications that we receive, they show right-of-way not required, but in many cases it actually is. I've encountered projects where entirely too much thought was put into that question. It was made overcomplicated. The local agency will sometimes say, well, we'll need right-of-way, but we're not asking DOT to pay for it, so the answer is no. And and also I've heard answers such as, we figured you would deny the project if we answered yes. But the bottom line is we need to know if the right-of-way is required, because there is a process that will need to be followed for that acquisition. And that'll be touched on more in future episodes of the Safety Academy. But we'll also look at other features such as the roadway maintenance, the roadway, particularly if we're doing AVPM, the audio vibratory pavement markings. The road must be in a good enough condition for the treatment to adhere. And with regards to constructability, the project must be constructable. We will conduct a field review, and we'll look for potential conflicts with utilities, drainage, trees, and other issues. We have encountered other challenges as well, such as environmental concerns and public involvement. Those two elements can derail or delay a project. The key elements in more detail here: safety criteria and project vetting. The District 7 safety application process is pretty extensive. We require the information and documentation necessary to move forward, and we will provide internal support, District 7 safety team support to those agencies in need. A thorough review is necessary, complete with engineering analysis and field review to determine feasibility. Again, We cannot just accept the windshield survey or, going to Google Earth alone will not suffice. The environmental review and assessment. Environmental reviews and subsequent assessments are necessary to point out any potential environmental red flags that may hamper the project. They can not only hamper, but they can delay and ultimately derail the project. An office review of available GIS data should be used, and that data can be layered onto an aerial photograph to determine environmentally sensitive areas. That is very important, that this process is adhered to. The area map should be taken to the field for a project review, and it'll help determine where the wetlands are located, any possible hazardous materials and contamination sites. We'll also look for threatened, endangered species, protected species. And another element that's often overlooked is the coordination with SHPO, which is the State Historic Preservation Office. And we've had instances where SHPO review has severely delayed a project, but it is a necessary element of this process. For instance, a recent safety project review in Plant City was delayed, and ultimately the city decided not to move forward with the project. And a more thorough review and analysis of the project prior to submission and submission to the department could have avoided that. And this project resulted in District 7 taking a production hit on this project because it did not move forward after being programmed in work program. Right-of-way analysis. Local agencies should submit deeds, maps, or other documentation to demonstrate that they actually own the property, or that the property is within the public domain. We realize the locals may not have maps available early in the process, but we should strive to achieve a certain comfort level before the project can move forward. One of the principal concerns regarding right-of-way is the process that the local agencies must follow, as well as the department, when using federal funds. We have to follow what's commonly referred to as the Uniform Act, and that's where the documentation comes in. And ultimately, the right-of-way will need to be certified by the department's right-of-way manager, who will have to sign off after a thorough review of all of the documents and deeds and maps associated with the acquisition. It's basically a lot of paperwork, but that paperwork is what trips you up. My conversations with District 7 right-of-way staff indicate that there's often a tremendous surprise on the part of the local agency when informed that easements and donations are also considered a right-of-way need, a right-of-way acquisition. If the proposed project does not survive the right-of-way analysis, the project does not move forward in the constructability field review. But sometimes we do not find out that these right-of-way issues exist until we've programmed the project and the project is imminent. That creates a problem with regards to production. District 7 right-of-way staff is committed to providing the assistance that the local agencies need to help their projects move forward. Okay, I got a little ahead of myself. Utility review. The utility review. The local agency and the safety feasibility review team must confirm the existence of utility operations within the existing right-of-way, ensure that the local agencies and the utility owners are coordinating the relocation of utilities if they are necessary. With regards to environmental permits, the Safety Project Feasibility Review Team will review environmental permit issues that may involve other jurisdictional agencies such as SWIFMUD, Coast Guard, the Army Corps of Engineers, etc., because in many instances they must sign off on wetland issues. where those wetlands will be impacted by the project. Public awareness is also something that can really hurt a project, and but the public involvement element can be as simple as it doesn't necessarily have to be a public hearing on a project. It can be as simple as a public meeting, or the opportunity for public involvement is also created during the MPO public hearing process for the TIP amendments and also the work program when it is incorporated into the MPO's TIP. Negative public sentiment at the time of construction can really damage a project, and we've seen examples of that here in District 7. A lot of times the public is unaware of the project, and they come forward once they see construction equipment or other work going on in an area, even as simple as a survey. They'll come out of the woodwork then, and some of them will voice objections to a project. We had a recent project a couple of years ago where the project was already approved. The local agency had designed the project, and once the project got to the point of survey, the people came out and were asking questions. And this was a simple bike path, multi-use trail project where the citizens came out and voiced objection to the project. The objection, it turned political, and a public meeting was held right before construction was to begin, and the political nature ended up in a letter from the city, from the local agency, asking that the project be removed from the work program. Now, in that case, we did not take a production hit on the project because we had already executed the agreement, had the federal authorization, and it was withdrawn at the request of the local agency. But it did create a problem. I've seen other projects, again, a Safe Routes to School project, where public sentiment was so high against a sidewalk project to help little Johnny get safely to school, to where a public meeting was held, but the invitation was only sent to the adjacent property owners, and they were the ones that really objected to the project. They objected to the project because they felt the local agency was taking their property without compensation, but that wasn't the case. It turned out that the majority of the adjacent property owners were actually encroaching upon public property, and they had sprinkler systems, landscaping, fancy paved driveways that were being destroyed by the project. So that created some issues, and the workaround for that was the school, the elementary school where the sidewalk was leading. They actually sent letters out to the parents of the school children who would be using that sidewalk, and the response was overwhelmingly in favor, and the project was able to move forward. A much broader spectrum and audience response is needed beyond those adjacent property owners, as was done in this case, because a lot of the people will do what we refer to as NIMBY, not in my backyard. They have that concept when it comes to developing projects. Production readiness. Now, if your project becomes a LAP project, as I mentioned earlier, it will definitely count in the department's production report. If the project is not carried through according to the schedule during the year the funding is programmed in our work program, the district will take a hit. And this puts our district secretary and production director in the unenviable position of having to explain why they failed to meet a commitment to the public. Also, the funds that are programmed on a project may be lost as approval by the governor's office is required to maintain that funding on a stalled project through the department's roll forward process. There'll be more coming on that during our future sessions. But it's imperative that you remember that safety funding must be programmed based on schedule in conjunction with the availability of that said funding. So with regards to work program and scheduling, it's therefore imperative that the local agency provide an achievable project schedule for district review and consideration. That project schedule should include all anticipated dates for phase submittals, certification of utility rail and right-of-way, and submittal of the required LAP checklist, construction checklist, the entire PS&E package, and all of the other elements that goes into helping move a project forward. Even though funding may be available, a candidate safety project cannot be programmed until all of the required documentation is received. Programming a project in the department's work program constitutes a commitment to the public to deliver the project, and it must be adhered to. One item that I cannot stress enough: we must do a better job of meeting the work program cutoff dates. Now, that's a department issue as well as a local issue. Those cutoff dates, if we miss the cutoff dates, then your project cannot move forward into the tentative work program and then have that smooth transition into the adopted work program. I know many of you are not familiar with the work program issues that I'm speaking of, and there will be more information given on this during a future session. Now, with regards to approval of a safety project, once your project is vetted on this end and it's thoroughly reviewed by the District 7 safety team, if it's approved, you will receive a letter from Mr. Squalunas here, and his letter will tell you whether or not your project is approved or denied. It'll let you know the funding level, and if it is denied, the reasons for that denial will be provided to you. In some cases, not only will the project may be denied as the application was submitted, but we will sometimes make recommendations that maybe a perfect example would be on the audio vibratory pavement markings, where the pavement condition can kill that project. But if you've got, say, a 3-mile corridor where the pavement condition is bad in one area of it, maybe we can adjust the limits of the project and you'll still be able to move forward with the AVPM during the sections where the roadway condition is good enough to accommodate the markings being placed. You'll also, sometimes we may come back and recommend alternative strategies, alternative safety strategies. Maybe we can't do runoff road measures, but we may be able to provide some signs to you that will help maybe slow the traffic down, give more warning of what's up ahead, and other features like that. That's a method that we've utilized on numerous occasions. The delivery method will also be mentioned in that letter. You'll have several options for your project. Your project can go, it's possible that some projects can be delivered through design, build, push button method, which is the department District 7 has a design, build, push button contract where we have a contractor who can go out and do the necessary improvements at a predetermined cost, and it basically requires little effort or impact to the local agency. You'll be able to sit back and watch us handle it for you. And that's considerably different from the delivery through the local agency program. Now, as many of you who are familiar with LAP know, LAP requires a lot of paperwork, monitoring by the department, and you really have to babysit your own project. Now, in a LAP project, there is a severe level of scrutiny, and the rules must be adhered to. And district staff is here to help And also that's my specialty after my career as my tenure as a District 7 lab administrator. We're here to help. We can help you move your projects through. We want to see your safety projects be successful.
Okay, I talked to Trenda. Trenda generated this one.
Trenda did that.
We're in the coalition. Oh, that's all. I'm listening.
Now, with regards to contact info,
Generate this one.
you can contact Dave Scrilunas, and his contact information would be shown here at the end as well as mine. But we've got a lot of resources to help you move forward with your project. And if your project is to be successful, not only during the review stage when we're looking at your project, but also after your project has been approved, there is a definite need for a high level of coordination between the District 7 safety staff and the local agency staff. Another thing to remember is that once you start to develop your project schedule, if the project goes the LAP route, the funding availability must mesh with your LAP project. And also, if your project goes design, build, push button, we've got to have the money available under our construction contract to do the improvement. Now, right now, that does not appear to be a problem because we're really pushing design, build, push button. District 7 was the guinea pig for this program, and it's been successful, and other districts are now starting to proceed in that direction as well. If the project is going the LAP route, the project schedule must include all project phases. You will have to show where the project is in design, if it's not already designed, when you anticipate starting, and funding can come through the department and be paid for with federal safety funds. And remember, it is a reimbursement process. It's not a situation where we cut you a check, you go out and do the improvement. The local agency must make the expenditure first. Now, District 7 also provides safety support in a number of areas. We provide engineering support, and over the last 2 years, we have a district-wide safety engineering contract where we spend about $1 million a year. Some of the elements of that safety engineering contract include the road safety audits, traffic engineering studies, lap assistance, and training. We also have a district-wide safety consultant contract where it averages about $1 million a year, where our safety consultant can actually design off-system projects. We can also provide design support for local projects. Our consultants and DOT staff will review design projects. If the local agency has already designed a project, we will review the plans. We will comment accordingly. All of our plans will go through ERC for review and comment. And I'm hoping that most of you are already familiar with ERC, which is the acronym for Electronic Review and Comment. District 7 also lends support through material purchases. And over the last 2 years, we have had budgeted and purchased approximately $2 million worth of countdown pedestrian signals. We have furnished school flashers almost to the tune of $1 million. School feedback signs, $1 million. Bright sticks, approximately $400,000. We've provided thermal marking material in the amount of approximately $300,000. We have done enforcement lights up to in the area of $500,000. All of this helps reduce the number of severe crashes and fatal accidents, which is the goal of our effort. It's not limited to just the state highway system. We are trying to really reach out to the local agencies to reduce those incidents on their roadways as well. Other support comes through, again, as I mentioned, the design build push button contract. We've got approximately $1.2 million there. That contract can be used for signal retiming, audio vibratory pavement markings, paved shoulders, and a number of other safety project types. Now, with regards to LAP project implementation, over the past 3 years, we have spent about $8.65 million on instituting safety projects through the LAP program. All phases can be funded, as I said, except right-of-way. Design, construction, CEI, and material testing is all reimbursable and can be funded with safety dollars. Also, local agency project management reimbursement is possible. The staff time that your agency uses in managing the production of a project, that's reimbursable. So as you can see, there's a lot of money coming through District 7 to the local agencies, and then the dollars that I mentioned here, they are all aimed at local agencies. So we strongly encourage participation by the local agencies. We've even had situations where we have placed an engineer in a local agency's office to assist with many of the functions that are safety related. We've had people sit in an office and do design work for you, for the local agency. We're trying to make it as easy as we can and to cover as wide a spectrum as we can, because again, our main goal is to make the highways of the state of Florida, not just the state highway system, but the local roads also, where I believe the statistics show that I think it's 46% of all accidents or incidents are occurring off the state highway system. So we're making the effort to get the money where it's needed. We've had a number of safety-funded success stories. Again, over the last 3 years, we've completed 14 Safe Routes to School projects. We've had 2 runoff road projects completed. We've done 3 directional median opening projects. We've done 1 traffic signal project, and safety funds were used in 1 major reconstruction project. The project was 40th Street here in Tampa at the intersection with Hillsborough Avenue. $1 million went into that project to improve that intersection. That's a lot of money, and it took a lot of, it really helped make that project come to fruition. Now, currently in District 7, these are the types of projects that we have in production right now. We have 1 paved shoulder with AVPM, and that's in Pasco County. We have a corridor improvement project over in the city of St. Pete, where it's really going to reduce the opportunities for incidents by controlling access in that area. We've got 4 intersection improvement projects programmed. Well, if not programmed, they're in production and will be added to our work program. We also have 1 rail crossing closure project, and that was a pretty creative way to really eliminate some safety concerns that the city of Oldsmar had. We also are on the verge of adding another Safe Routes to School project to our work program during this current year. What's next? There will be much greater detail on LAP safety projects and the associated processes in future Safety Academy sessions that are currently scheduled for January 8th, 15th, and the 22nd of next year. So we ask everybody to stay tuned. we encourage you to participate in this program. If you have any questions, you can call David, you can call Peter, you can call me, you can call Dennis Falloon. There is a lot of help out there for you, but we're not mind readers. We don't know if you don't ask. All it takes is a phone call. I mean, Peter can be pretty imposing sometimes, but I don't think he's prone to physical violence. So, keep those cards and letters coming, folks, by all means. And now, it's open season. Any questions that you have, by all means, please chime in. Let us know what your concerns are. Any questions, concerns, or maybe if there's something that we have not covered, that's you can bring that forward at this time, please. Any questions? Anthony, any questions that you're aware of? Anything coming in?
We ain't there.
I see we have one question. City of Tampa was unaware that project management was reimbursable. Is that only on safety projects? And no, that's not only on safety projects. That's on any lap project. We don't expect. We've had instances where local agencies have come forward and said that about 50% of the money was going to be spent on project management, and that's not a road we want to travel. Your actual project management costs are reimbursable. But if they're to be reimbursed, we would require that you provide documentation from your payroll system showing that Joe Smith worked 8 hours during the month of February on this lap safety project, and that is reimbursable. It must be reasonable. And while we really don't have a set guideline as to what reasonable is, but if it creeps above 10%, I would think that you're heading toward that unreasonable area. Thank you, Nina. Any other questions?
There's a question about net present value for quantifiable. Can you provide more info for net present value? Larry, are you able to hear me? I believe I've muted myself. Larry? I see in the chat that Larry and Dave were cut off. They are going to try to call back in. With regards to net present value, that is actually the presentation that I will be giving next week. So absolutely, we can provide more information on NPV. So chime in next week, Mark, if you have time for that. If not, as always, these webinars are recorded and they will be posted on the TampaBayTrafficSafety.com website. But we will go over exactly how to calculate benefit costs, net present values, the differences between the two of them, go over a practical example, and show the district's spreadsheets and where to put in the right numbers for those calculations to be made.
I think we're back now.
Yes, I hear you.
Did you take care of that one all the way?
The net present value, yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So the next question is from Nina. Does design build only do smaller type projects, not medium or larger construction?
Basically, in the design build, we typically want to have maximum limits about $1 million. The design build is project by project. When last week I mentioned a lot of times about having a clean project. That's one of the major things with having a project go design build. I know a lot of the local agencies would like to see that because it's a little easier for them. They don't have to do as much paperwork as far as LAP goes and doing a lot of the stuff. However, design build, like we have a lot more restrictions because it is a set pay item list. We don't have the ability to do some of the things through the design build push button. And like I said, we want to have more of the clean projects. I mean, if there's any chance of major utility relocations or the project getting held up, a lot of times it won't be a good candidate for design build. Because it is such a tight time frame, we can get the projects done in a shorter amount of time. Whereas if there are things that need to be accomplished ahead of time or during the project, the lap route's a little easier to go because we can build that into the schedule. And again, schedule's a key part of that. You have to build it into it if you anticipate any things like that.
Great question here from Pinellas County regarding Quick Curb. If they received Quick Curb to channelize some medians and it reduced crashes, could they then apply for additional funds to make the channelization permanent with concrete?
That's interesting.
You know, I'm gonna have to look into that and get back with somebody. Who posed that question? It was just Pinellas County in general?
Pinellas County, and actually Peter chimed in via chat.
Okay.
And he says that the answer is yes.
Okay.
If the original median closure is related to the crash reduction.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you could still continue the secondary portion of that, you know, the actual part of the safety thing, since it was okay. Well, then you got your answer there.
Right, because Quick Curb is intended to be temporary.
Correct.
So the process here would be to use the crashes pre-Quick Curb to say, hey, we're going to go ahead and make this permanent and to convert the Quick Curb to a concrete median opening?
Yeah, I guess we'd look at it as a stepped project. I mean, the Quick Curb is basically the initial analysis phase of the project to where you're finding out if it actually, you know, it has a reduction, if it's working, and there are no adverse effects to putting it in. So.
Yeah, Peter chimed in via chat again to say, yes, Quick Curb is for short term. I do not see any other questions at the moment. I'll give everyone a few minutes to see if anything else comes up. I don't know if Felix or anybody else would like to be unmuted. I believe that Felix and Joe were on the line earlier.
Well, thanks to Masheed and Nahid for being online. I hope all's going well.
Larry, is your slide 17 the schedule for next week and upcoming sessions?
Contact
info. Yeah, we can go ahead and leave that up.
Okay.
So as a reminder, next week is net present value, benefit cost calculations, and that will be the last session for 2013. It does not look like we have any other questions coming into the chat. I will go ahead and end the recording, but we'll stay on the line for a few minutes in case anything else comes up. Thank you, everyone, for attending and being here, giving us your time.